Hello, my friends. This is Enrico De Paoli from Incrível Mundo Studio, and this is the Mix Secrets TV. Welcome here. Welcome all to the channel. And today I'm gonna make a quick rundown of a mastering I'm doing, and I'm using a hybrid setup, both plugins and analog gear. So I'm gonna play the track, the mix that was sent to me by a friend from Angola, and he is based in Portugal, and he mixed the track very well to my ears, and it wasn't a track I had to do much or any fixing. I just gave it some energy, some low level compression, and a bit of limiting so that you would gain level in energy. I'm gonna play the mix first, and then I'm gonna toggle to how the mastering came out, and then we're gonna go through a quick rundown of what was done and what was used. Okay, so let's take a listen. Mix first.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada. Sou deste tempo, onde os morrem sem saber que outros desfilam, ostentam vidas que não merecem.
So as you heard, I added not a lot, but some gain, some level, and low level compression. The overall curve, the EQ, the tone of the mix is pretty much unchanged. And let's see what I used. First, I went through a Waves linear phase EQ, and I love these two EQs. They come in two versions: the broadband and the low band. They're separate, and I only used the low band for high pass filtering at 32 hertz, just so we could filter out the very low rumble of the audio that takes up energy in the woofer, in the amplifiers, and we end up not using that musically. So I filtered that out just below 32 hertz. Then I went on to the broadband version, where all I did was taking away 0.2 dB of 5,771 hertz, just to ease off a little bit on the harshness. And the mix wasn't harsh, but when we add gain, limiting, and low-level compression, we end up, bringing some of the harshness up to the face. So I eased that off here. Then I went on to the vitamin, where I then added low-level compression in low mids, some in mids, and a little bit in high mids. So I'm gonna play without the vitamin, so you can hear, the difference.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada.
As you heard, it's a subtle effect, but necessary. It added, it gave us some filling, some stuffing in the mix, in the program. So I like the effect. It gave energy, gave level without stressing the peaks, if I added that just in the limiting. Then I went to Imager by Waves also, where I added just a little bit of widening in the program and in the low band of the program also. So I'm gonna play without, and and please notice the subtle widening that we got.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada.
It's funny that I got used to it already, and when I take it off, when I take it out, it just doesn't sound in place. It's very subtle, but everything falls into place when I enable the S1 shuffler that belongs to the Imager plugin bundle by Waves. Then I went on to an RDSer. Very subtle, but it gives us a tape effect because it compresses the high frequencies only. And I'm gonna play with and without, with and without. Let's go.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada.
Same as I mentioned before on the other processors, it's very subtle, but when I take it away, it just gives a brightness, a harshness that for me don't belong to the music anymore. So I really like what the RDSer does to sweetening the and mellowing the music, the track. Then I went on to an L3 Ultra Maximizer, and every time I use this plugin, I go through all the different profiles it has under the hood, and I ended up choosing the Loud and Proud, and I like how it sounds. I'm gonna play with, without, with, without. I'm adding 4.8 dB of gain.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada.
Yeah, so, well, this is not subtle. 4.8 dB is somewhat relevant, and it just made everything fall into place. I don't do this because of the loudness war, of course, but I just the output loudness for me is a matter of matching the music. I use loudness to get the song sounding with the energy I want, even if it's louder than what the streaming platforms use. I like the way it sounds better with this than without this because of energy, because of compression, not because of loudness war. So I like what it did. And finally, I go to a Waves WLM so I can monitor what I'm doing. And I actually enabled the true peak here, so at -1. So we are compliant to the platform's conversion algorithms, and we don't have a peaking after the song goes onto various streaming platforms with the native file formats they use. So we are at around -10 LUFS, and I think this was what made the song sound best. Let's take a listen and watch the meter.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência.
So as I said, I'm happy with this. And before the music, the mix passed through all these plugins, I actually used some analog gear. Let's take a look at them. I come out of the Pro Tools to two channels into my SSL, where I have inserted a pair of my original Neve 1099s, which share the same exact design preamp and EQ as the very known 1073. So this equipment adds a lot of low frequency harmonic content to the mix, which I think was great. And I'm gonna play with the Neve, without the Neve, with the Neve, without the Neve, so you can take a listen. Let's start with.
Sou da galáxia, aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada. Sou deste tempo.
For me, is subtle and at the same time is night and day, because I love what the pair of Neves do to the music. It just adds so much glow in the low end, and it's so warm. It's a beautiful sounding piece of gear that I proudly have in my collection. Okay, so then I'm also adding parallel compression using a Drummer 1960 and parallel EQ using a Manley Potec limited edition in stereo version. And I'm also adding harmonic content using my Aphex Aura Exciter. I emphasize is not the mix, the full mix that's going through it. It's just a parallel signal that's going through the Aphex, through the 1960 Drummer, and through the Manley Potec, and then being added, summed to the mix as we have it. Let's listen to that content of the parallel signal only first, and then I'm gonna play the mix with and without it. So this is only the parallel signal.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência.
Yeah, it's very low, of course, because it's just a shade being added to the mix, but it does make a difference. So I'm gonna play the mix with, without, without, so you can hear what difference it makes to add this shade of parallel processing. Let's start with.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada. Sou deste tempo.
I love that. It's very subtle, but when we start adding, all these little things, we end up with a big difference. And finally, the full program goes through a pair of Focusrite ISA 430 producer's pack, where I'm adding a little bit of low mids, very subtle, a little bit around 200 hertz, almost lows, a little bit of very high mids, almost highs, around 8.5K or 9K, very subtle, like 1 or 2 dBs. And I'm also using the de-esser, the analog de-esser, to compress the high frequency content out of the pair of Focusrite, going to analog limiter, a 3-band analog limiter by Aphex, which is the Dominator 2. And I'm gonna play without these two processors. Let's start with them.
Sou da galáxia, do universo da conveniência. Aqui onde cada é cada qual, e a moral não tem consciência, está envergonhada. Sou deste tempo.
Again, it's a beautiful analog sound, very subtle. The limiter is adding, a couple more dB, processing that all in analog. The Focusrite is doing a great job, with the subtle EQ and the de-esser, touching up the high frequency. And I forgot to mention there is a compressor working on the Focusrite. Both of them, they're linked, and they're pretty much compressing the low frequencies because it has a lot of energy. Is what's triggering the compressor mostly. Okay, this is it. Then out of the SSL, back to the converters and back into Pro Tools, and then we have the master finished. I usually do analog masters in stems, where I run drums, bass, harmonic instruments, and vocals. But this mix was done in stereo, and it wasn't sent to me in stems separately, so I'm processing them all together, as you saw and heard. Thank you for watching this episode of the Mix Secrets TV. Thank you for being here. If you liked, please click on the like button, and if you really liked, you're welcome to subscribe to the channel for future videos. Thank you, Waves, for making such great processors. I really love using them. Be well, and bye-bye.